The number one desire that parents have is for their children to do what they need them to do when they need them to do it. I get it. And that's not asking too much, is it? Seriously, you cook, you clean, you bathe them, you pack their lunches, you get them dressed, you tuck them in, you help them feel safe, you're giving them love and attention all day long, and that's just the parenting role in your life. Can't your kids just come to the table when you ask? Or just put their darn shoes on, or get dressed, or get in the car when you need them to get in the car? Believe me, I'm listening to you, and I know that the killer question every parent wants the answer to is, how do I get my kids to do what I want them to do when I ask them to do it without me having to scream, yell, bribe, threaten, or strong arm them while they're kicking and screaming? The good news is there is a real solution, and it's a little bit tricky. There's actually quite a bit of new brain science behind why kids of all ages do what they do. This is an amazing time to be a parent. Why? Because we're in the midst of a huge paradigm shift in the way we understand babies, children, and human development in general. So the old way of thinking about babies and children was that they arrived as these blank slates, that nobody was home, and that it's a parent's job to fill them up and to make them good. But there's research that's been done over the last 100 years in the fields of attachment theory, prenatal and perinatal psychology, and an emerging field called interpersonal neuroscience, which is giving us a whole new picture of what's really going on in early development. This new paradigm is really having this understanding that we arrive as people. Children arrive as who they are, and we go through various stages of human development. We have babyhood, toddlerhood, childhood, teenagehood, and adulthood. And it's those stages of development that you really want to start understanding, because your person's here to do their thing. And if you can really relate to them as a person, it changes everything. So with this new paradigm, with this understanding that a person comes in whole, that's really informing this whole new way of parenting. So here's a situation that's really common in toddlerhood. It's time to leave the house, and your child says, "No, I don't want to go." And the old way, in this old way of thinking, you would think, oh my gosh, I have this totally defiant child. What am I going to do here? And typically what a parent might do is get bigger than them. And you might say, no, we're going. And then all of a sudden you're in this power struggle with this tiny little person. The new way of perceiving this behavior is to recognize that in this particular phase of development, in toddlerhood, transitions are hard for little people. There's so much going on in their brains in terms of development that it makes making shifts really tricky. They'll get there, but in this particular phase of development, there's just going to be times where it's hard. So here's what you would do. First and foremost, you'd slow down. You notice how you're feeling. Before you do anything, you check in. Get connected with yourself first, and you notice, am I anxious about this transition? Am I harried? Am I running around? Am I expecting my child to do something I'm not even doing well? And you take a breath. So that's first. Second, you want to connect with the child. You want to go over to your little person and say, hey, what are you doing? What are you working on? And you want to get in their world before you try to bring them over into your world. And if they're playing with cars, you might pull out a car and go, whoa, this one's going really fast. And then you would make it playful. You'd say, hey, in a bit, we're gonna go outside and play. And you do something fun, and you might say, I have an idea. Let's get our shoes on, and let's hop like bunnies to the car, or slither like snakes. Which do you think we should do? What do you do when it doesn't work? That's when you back up, you slow yourself down again, you say, this is normal, this is what children do, I've got to be present, I've got to be fun, and you go back in. That's when you would say, you know what, love? If we don't get going, I'm gonna freak out. I'm a freaking out parent. And you do it in a silly way, and then you say, and you know what? I think I need to help you right now, and that might be when you pick them up and you leave. So the takeaway is slow down, connect with the child, and have some fun. So before you leave the page, I really want you to go ahead and share an experience that you've had recently where you could have incorporated some of these new ideas into your parenting. Because by doing that, by sharing with our community, not only is it giving a gift to other people so they know they're not alone, but they might find some wisdom in what you did. And if you feel inspired, go ahead and share this with some friends. Think about a few people in your life that really might benefit from this, and maybe throw it on Facebook and see what happens. And finally, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for watching. And I've got some great stuff coming. It's on its way. It'll be in your inbox in a couple days, so just stay tuned.